What's up, everybody? It's your boy JR Reviews back at another video. How you all doing? Happy Mother's Day to y'all. JR Reviews Incorporated. My bad. Happy Mother's Day to you all. Here to review another movie. Do another movie review or whatever review of it. So I'm reviewing today The Town That Dreaded Sundown. But I'm doing this a little bit different since The Town That Dreaded Sundown is actually based on a pretty much true story. I mean, they got most of the details right. They just changed the names and the ages and the weapons that were used in the killings. The real life, the way it would happen in real life, it would be classified as a slasher film or a slasher because he never used a knife to kill anybody, at all. The main so and also so I'm gonna give you a little bit about the movie. The movie takes place in 1946, around the same time the actual events happened, in a town called Texarkana, Arkansas, Miller County. I'm not sure if that's the town in the movie. I know it's the town in real life. And what happens is, basically, for 3 months in this entire town, in real life as well as in the movie, a serial killer, known as the Phantom Killer, who wears what looks like is a sack over his head, with eye holes cut off and mouth holes, kills teenagers and young couples in the Texarkana area brutally. He murders them in a brutal fashion. Now, that basically what happened in the real life in 1946. The thing that was iconic about this actual real life part was, and also in the movie, is that the World War II had just ended like a year ago, and people and families are just starting to get back together and getting back to the swing of things of their loved ones coming home from the war. So no one's really expecting for some asshole to killing people, right? And to disrupt the peace that has already been established from the war ending. People are just trying to get back to their old lives. People who had probably had trauma are still trying to get back to their normal lives as well. Anyways, now let's coincide. So in the movie, the ways that this guy had killed someone was the gun. I think he stabbed a few. Stabbed them. One guy was actually one of the most innovative kills I've seen in a movie. There was a band person, and he attached the Phantom Killer, attached a knife toward the trumpet. So when he blowed into the trumpet, the knife was attached to the end of the end, so he could stab him, which was actually an interesting way of killing someone, I thought. But I mean, it was pretty much the most inventive way for a 1976 film that I ever seen in the 76 film, because I know Halloween came out in 1978 or 79 or one of the two, and 74 was Chicken's Chainsaw, and he barely used a chainsaw to really kill anybody until the very end. Towards the very end, when he kills the guy in the wheelchair. But anyways, back to the Town of the Dreaded Sundown. Now I'm going to be going over the correlation to the book, to the movie, to the actual thing. So, basically, they changed the ages and the names of the people who were involved. They made them a lot younger than they were, because the first people attacked. Also, they were shown in the first movie that they didn't show the actual first attack. So the actual real attacks were dubbed the Texarkana Moonlight Murders, because all of them happened at nighttime, obviously. And he was given two names by the media, and that was the Phantom Killer and the Phantom Slayer. So the director and the writer for the movie did a good job at getting the name somewhat right. They could have also added in the Phantom Slayer in some part in the film, which they didn't add in there. This also is a movie that has a sequel called The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is kind of stupid because it's a sequel and not a remake. So it should be called The Town That Still Dreaded Sundown. Is the way I see it, but that's not how it goes. Around 11, so the first attack happened around 11:45 p.m. on February 22nd, 1946. And these two both escaped with their lives. They did not get killed. And that was Jimmy Hollis at age 25 and his girlfriend, Mary Jeanne Larry, at age 19. Parked on a schedule, which would be basically considered Lover's Lane. If you don't know what Lover's Lane is, for many people who don't understand 50s and 40s and culture, is basically, it was a stretch of road that was secluded from other parts of the road. And a bunch of couples would go there to either listen to music and fuck. Basically have sex. That's why they call it Lover's Lane. And it was always common to do that, even after, let's say they went to a movie. In this scenario, they went to a movie in real life. And they would go there. A bunch of couples would go there actually sometimes. So not only that, they would hang out, drink, have fun. But that was basically what life was like for the 40s and 60s. Now, granted, yes, the age difference is big, and I'm gonna tell you, there's one age difference in this actual thing that's so big it's almost criminal to our day standards. But what? But yeah, it's the 1940s, so times were different. Okay. Approximately 50. So they have after having seen a movie together, obviously, they were in. Around 10 minutes later, at around 11:55 p.m., a man wearing a white cloth mask, which resembled a pillowcase with eye holes cut out, appeared at Hollis' drive side door, and shined a flashlight in the window. Unsure if the man was pranking him, obviously thinking he was a cop. Hollis told him he had the wrong person, to which the man responded, "I don't want to kill you, fellow, so do what I say." Both Hollis and Lair were ordered out of the driver's side door, or out of the car, and they took the driver's side door, as the man ordered Hollis to take off his goddamn bridges. After he had complied, the man struck him in the head twice with a pistol. What Larry would later tell the investigators that the noise was so loud that she initially had thought he had been shot. What was actually happened was that he had fractured, when he got hit, he fractured the skull of Jimmy. Though thinking the assailant wanted to rob them, Larry basically pulled out Hollis' wallet to prove he had money, and after which she was struck in the head with a blunt object. The assailant then ordered her to stand, and when she did, told her to run. Initially, she had tried to flee toward a ditch. This is the real accounts, by the way. But the assailant ordered her to run in a different direction, up the road. Larry spotted her. This is the only also recorded case where the assailant sexually assaulted the person. Spotted an old car parked off the road, but found it empty, and was again confronted by the attacker, who had asked her why she was running. When she responded he had told her to do so, he called her a liar, and then, before knocking her down, sexually assault liar, before knocking her down, and then sexually assaulting her with the barrel of the gun. They all basically managed to get to the hospital, and they gave an account, and the account basically said that Larry said that the guy was African American, which Jimmy also said he was white, but could not actually tell what his actual features because he was blind by the flashlight when he first encountered the man. So, but the sheriff and the police think that they actually knew their attacker, but were hiding his actual identity from them, which I don't think was the case at all. You're being attacked, and also he was struck in the head with a fractured skull. You're gonna have some memory loss. You're gonna have some problem recalling moments, and also you just narrowly avoided being killed. So, yeah, that's something the case. So on March 24th, 1946 was the first double murder that happened. Now this is the where it gets a little freaky. This happened to Richard L. Griffin at age 29. And his girlfriend of 6 weeks, Polly Ann Moore, age 17. Now, to us, that would be considered pedophilia, or a wrong relationship, because he's 29 and his girlfriend's 17. Now, to 1946 people, I don't think that would be considered a bad relationship. I think it would be more like, first of all, I wanted to know how this couple actually fucking met. That's my question to that. Second of all, would be my question is how they met, because one's in high school, one's probably should be out of college by now and doing work. Polly Ann and were found dead in Griffin's old 1941 Oldsmobile sedan on Sunday, March 24th, 1946, between the hours of 8:30 and 9 a.m. by a passing motorist. They basically were found to be shot. All these people were shot, by the way. All these people were shot to death. and I will be reading here. This was close to a night spot called Club Dallas. The motorist at first thought that both were asleep, but Griffin was found between the front seats and on his knees, with his head resting on his crossed hands. His pockets turned out inside out. Moore was found sprawled out face down in the back seat. There is evidence, however, that suggests she was killed on a blanket outside the car, then placed in there. Griffin had been shot twice while still in the car. Both had been shot once in the back of the head. Both were fully clothed, and a blood-soaked patch of earth near the car suggested to the police that they had been killed outside the car and placed back inside. Congealed blood was found covering the running board, which I do not know what that is, but I'm guessing it's a part of a car, and had flowed through the bottom of the car door. A .32 cartridge shell was also found, possibly shot from a Colt pistol wrapped in a blanket. No extent reports indicate that either Griffin or Moore were examined by pathologists, meaning people that they determined the cause of death. Contemporaries local rumor had that sexual assault had also occurred, but modern reports refute this claim. In response to their murders, police launched a citywide investigation with the Texas and Arkansas Police, the Department of Public Safety, and Miller Cross County Sheriff's, and departments, and the FBI was involved. By March 27, local police had interviewed around 50 or 60 witnesses, including patrons of the Club Dallas and everything and all that. And there was a posted reward for $500 in an effort to gain any information on the Griffin and Moore case. April 13th, 1946, the second double murder. On the evening of Saturday, April 13th, Betty Jo Booker, age 15, was playing her alto saxophone in her regular weekly gig with her band, the Rhythmiers, at the VFW Club at West 4th on Oak Street. Around 1:30 a.m. Sunday morning, April 14th, her friend Paul Martin, age 17, arrived to pick up her up from the performance. This was the last time the pair were seen alive. Martin's body was found at around 6:30 a.m. that morning by a Mr. and Mr. G.H. Weaver and their son, lying on the left side by the northern edge of the North Park Road. Blood was found further down on the other side of the road by a fence. He had been shot 4 times, once through the nose, the other again through the left fourth rib from behind, a third time through the right hand, and then finally through the back of the neck. I'm pretty sure it was the back of the neck that finally killed him, but it could have been the nose, or it could have actually been the left rib that could have killed him too. But I'm thinking it's the back of the neck. But that's just me. Booker's body was not found until approximately 11:30 a.m., about almost 2 miles away from Martin's body, behind a tree. She was found by members of the Boyd family, along with their friend Ted Pepe. I don't know how to spell it. Says I'm just gonna say Pepe. I think that's how I'd say it. Who had joined the search party? Her body was lying on the search, lying on its back, fully clothed, and with a right hand in the pocket of the button overcoat that she was wearing. Booker had been shot twice, once through the chest and the other once through the face. The weapon was used. It was the same as the first double murder, as a .32 caliber automatic Colt pistol. Martin's 1946 Ford Club Coupe was found about 3 miles away from Booker's body. Away from the body, it was parked outside the Spring Lake Park with the key still in it. Sheriff Presley and Texas Ranger, the authorities were not sure who was shot first. Sheriff Presley and Texas Ranger Captain Manuel Gonzalez said the examinations of the bodies indicated that both had put up a terrific struggle. They didn't go out down without a fight. Martin's friend and Tom Alberton said that he did not believe the argument that had happened between the victims, meaning supposedly there were some witnesses that said they had an argument the night that they were leaving the club. Martin had any enemies, basically anyone that wanted Martin dead. And he did not believe that. Law enforcement was unable to locate Booker's saxophone at the crime scene. The saxophone was eventually discovered around 6 months later on October 24th, still in its black imitation leather case, in the underbrush near where Booker's body had been found. A reward fund exceeding $1,700 was occurred for information leading to the persons responsible for the Griffin, Moore, and Martin murders. Okay, and the third May 3rd was the 1946 was the final crimes. This one I think is the most interesting one for my particular opinion. On Friday, May 3rd, sometimes before 9 p.m., Virgil Starks, age 37. Now, in the actual movie, they give him a different name, and they give him the age of 38, not 37. And I don't remember him telling me what age his wife was. Was a farmer and weirdo was in his modest ranch-style home at 500-acre farm off of Highway 68, 7 East. Almost 10 miles, he turned on his favorite weekly radio show, and his wife, Katie, age 36, gave him a heating pad of his sore back. Now, this is the interesting thing about the slasher movie real quick. I'm going to go back to the actual crimes. Like, we're used to having a slasher having a motive, right? What's it called? Killing for an actual reason, right? Like, Jason kills because he wants revenge for his mother. Freddy kills because he wants revenge for being burned alive, and also because he wants to kill everyone's kids for taking his own kid. 3. We have Michael Myers, who I don't think he really had the motive, but if you want to classify him as having a motive, that's good on you. We have Leatherface, who kills because he wants to make food out of people, I guess, and furniture for his family. This guy had no real motive. Even in the movie, in real life, he had no motive to kill anybody. He had no backstory to kill someone. He just killed for the sake of killing. And they're led to be believed that there's some sexual thrill in him killing these people, but I don't believe that. I mean, there could be, but I don't know. So anyways, let's get back to the actual crime in this scenario. Found from off Highway 67 East, almost 10 miles northeast of Texarkana. He turned on his favorite weekly radio show. Texarkana, by the way, is in Arkansas. And his wife, Katie, age 36, gave him a heating pad for his sore back. He sat in his armchair in the sitting room, which was just off the kitchen, in the bedroom while Katie was in her bedroom lying on her bed in her nightgown. She heard something from the backyard and asked Virgil to turn down the radio. Seconds later, when Virgil was reading the May 3rd edition of the Texarkana Gazette, 2 shots were fired from into the back of his head from a closed double window 3 feet away. Katie did not hear the gunshots. Instead, she heard what sounded like breaking of glass. She thought Virgil had dropped something and went to go see what happened. And as she entered the doorway to the living room, she saw Virgil stand up and then suddenly slump back into the chair. She saw the blood that ran to him and lifted him up his head. And when she realized that he was dead, she ran to call the police. So she had a wall crank phone, which is a 1946, which is basically you have to crank the phone to listen to it. It's 1946, obviously. That's the way the phone worked. She rang the wall crank phone two times before being shot twice, and this is the part where she got shot. I find this was interesting. She got shot from the same window. One bullet entered through her right cheek and exited behind her left ear. So it was I'm gonna left to right. So it's right here. Oh no, left cheek and then from her left. So it was like right cheek would be like right here. I guess her cheek was different. I guess I don't know. So it was this way, or it was this way. No, it was this way. Yeah, right here. Went this way. And then the other one hit just below her lip, breaking her jaw and splintering out several teeth before lodging under her tongue. So it went right here, breaking the jaw, okay, splintering all the teeth like right here, meaning basically ripping them out of their things, and then lodging right underneath her tongue. She dropped to her knees, but soon managed to get back on her feet. She ran to get the pistol from the living room, but was blinded by her own blood. She heard the killer tearing loose the rusted screen wire on the back porch. She thought she was going to be killed, so she stumbled toward her bedroom near the front of the house to leave a note. Meanwhile, the killer ran to the back of the house and made his way up the steps into the side screen porch, through the back screen door, and then she heard the killer coming through the kitchen window. So she turned around and ran through the dining room, through the bedroom, down the hallway, and through another bedroom, and then into the living room, and then out the front door. basically leaving behind a river of blood and teeth throughout the house, across the street, barefoot and still in her blood-soaked nightgown. She ran across the street to her sister and brother-in-law's house. Because no one was home, she ran another 50 yards more to an A.V. Prater's house. Prater answered her call for help. She gasped with this line, "Virgil is dead," and collapsed. Okay, the fact is, this woman had already probably lost a lot of fucking blood. The fact that she was taken into a Pright had shot a rifle in the air to summon more people to get her into a car. They drove away. They drove to a hospital, and on the way to the hospital, she had shown no signs of cure. Even though she lost a considerable amount of blood, she had no signs of going into shock, and her heart rate remained normal, which is pretty interesting for the fact that you've been losing a lot of blood. You've already experienced this facial trauma from being shot twice. Your heart rate shouldn't be normal, and you shouldn't be I don't know. May 4th, the reading of the Gazette read this: Mortar Rock City again, farmer slain, wife wounded. Even the Texas police said this woman should be dead, but somehow she's not. The fact of the matter is, this woman showed such, like, I don't know what it'd be, charisma, freaking strength, and just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not gonna die here. The willpower just be like, I'm gonna make it out of this shit. I'm gonna go find someone, and I'm gonna go get help for myself. Like, your husband's already dead. The only thing they could find of any use to them was a flashlight, a bullet, which this killer, I'm going to tell you this now, this killer was very smart. After the first 2 murders that he committed, he decided to change the caliber of bullets. So he'd been working with a 32 for this entire time. Now he changed the caliber to a 22 caliber. This is also interesting because this is the one time in this in this actual thing is that he was never really caught. They had a suspect, but they could never prove that he did it. And the suspect they had was this guy. And I'll give you a name and the thing. The prime suspect in the case was a Ewell Sweeney, a real petty criminal who was linked to the murders primarily by statements from his wife, plus additional circumstantial evidence. After Sweeney's wife refused to testify against him, prosecutors decided against pursuing the case, and he was never convicted of murder, but was sentenced to a long term as a habitual car thief and forger. So, I'm going to put this away now. I took criminology in college and high school, and I'm going to tell you this now. The odds of when a criminal decides to stick to a crime pattern, they don't usually deviate from the crime pattern unless for accidental reasons, like something goes wrong during the crime they're planning, and they fire something, and it feels good for them, I guess. So that would be the only reason for Sweeney, as I want to call him, to cause these murders. Now, another thing is, it could be possible that the reason why she didn't want to testify against his wife, she realized maybe those mentions of statements I give that gave him linked him to the murders. Maybe I realized, or after talking to him for a couple minutes, find out that, whoa, wait a minute, he couldn't have done these murders. He was nowhere near there. Committed a murder, but was sentenced for 2 long years. Okay, 2 of the lead investigators in this case, however, believed him to be guilty, and in a 2014 book, basically about the murders, also blamed him as the killer. The thing is, though, Presley believes that there was enough evidence to close the case and basically convict him of all five murders and the 3 counts of injury. But the way society works, even to that back then, is you need congruent evidence and circumstantial evidence at best, and a testify against from your wife, and some statements that link him to the crime won't work. You need congruent proof that he did this, and in 1946, the only way you would have congruent proof is if you actually saw the thing happen in person. Unless you found the mask and the gun in the car, the actual gun, and his handprints at the crime, then that's the only way you can figure out it was him. But anyways, in the movie, he was never caught. In the movie, I think he was caught because he was murdered. And in the sequel, which I will not review, but I will say this. The sequel is still called Town of Dread Sundown. I'm not sure if I mentioned this already before, I think they should have renamed it, the title, The Town That Still Dreaded Sundown. Because the first one was already called The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and it's a sequel, so you should be calling it The Town That Still Dreaded Sundown, or The Town That Dreaded Sundown 2, if you want to call it that, go the old-fashioned way of naming a sequel. But that's my opinion on the movie. Honestly, great movie. Definitely go watch it. 1976 is the best one to watch. If you should watch the remake, but the original. People call it a remake because it has the same name, but it's actually a sequel. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this story being true, I think they cleverly did it well, but the only difference between, like I said, in the crimes, they changed the names, they changed the ages, and the killer never used an actual slashing weapon to kill anybody. He used the gun the entire time. But for 3 months, from February to May, he kept this entire town in a state of fear, panic, and people really hated sundown. They dreaded sundown, as the town thing went. The only other thing they can somewhat link him to is, in 1948, a Virginia carpenter in a cold case in Texarkana in 1948 has been speculated as his work. They believe that he kidnapped this person, but that's all they can. That's the only other thing we know of. They also try to trick him, and by after the 3 months without the phantom attacks after that word, they quietly the Rangers and everyone left the town. The Czech Rangers left the town to keep the Phantom from believing that he was safe to strike again. So basically, they were trying to lure him back by saying, "Oh yeah, we're all gone," and then when he would attack again, they were going to capture him. But obviously, the Phantom wasn't a dumbass because he was able to get out. The killer was able to dumbass, so he was able to get away. Now, honestly, I think it was a great movie. You want to give it a review? I'm going to give it a 10. Because it was a great movie. It's actually one of those movies where it's based on true events, not amalgamation of true events, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Where even then, it's iffy at best if it's based on true events. Based on a true story. But it's otherwise, I would say, congruent. I mean, there's a few minor changes with age and the names and the weapons that were used, but he did use the gun through the movie. He used the gun a couple times actually. I definitely just recommend going and seeing this movie. You can rent it on demand. I think you can watch it on a few other sites. I don't know where else though. But I've watched it on demand a couple times, both the sequel and the original. Definitely go check it out, and don't forget to like and comment, and subscribe. And also, if you haven't seen the trailer for this movie, definitely go see it because the trailer is so really well made. I remember watching it. I watched the trailer recently. I remember just getting chills from the trailer itself because the way the announcer or the narrator who announces the trailer really did the effort with the voice and everything to really make the viewer get a little nervous and scared. And the trailer was really well done. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I will see you in the next video.